or not.
Weekdays at 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern.
You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
Greetings, Earthlings.
Before a man first set foot on the moon, no one truly believed science fiction could become science fact. It would take all of NASA's planning, calculations, and training to get us there. With the Apollo 11 mission, the dream became a reality.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Less than a year after the first man landed on the moon, Jack Swigert, Fred Hayes, and Commander Jim Lovell were ready for their mission. On April 11th, 1970, at exactly 13:13, Apollo 13 set course for the moon.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It was a destination they would never reach.
We may have had an instrumentation problem, Blake.
On the 13th day in April, everything that could go wrong did.
He had a pretty large bank. Houston, we've had a problem. Had a main bus thunderbolt.
Okay, now let's everybody keep cool. Let's solve the problem, but let's not make it any worse by guessing.
And for 5 days, America and the world prayed for a miracle.
Houston, we have a problem.
All right, here we go.
The Sci-Fi Channel presents an in-depth look at the making of the new Ron Howard film from Universal Pictures, Apollo 13, starring Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, Bill Paxton, Kathleen Quinlan, Ed Harris, and Gary Sinise.
That's wrong.
In the next half hour, journey behind the scenes on one of America's most gripping dramas.
We got a wicked shimmy up here.
Explore the massive undertaking of recreating NASA in 1970.
They don't have control? Did we miss a step here?
And experience, through never-before-seen footage, how the filmmakers joined forces with NASA to film in a completely weightless environment.
Motion pictures in 0G.
The Apollo missions opened a new door in space exploration. But as the events of Apollo 13 show, that advancement came with great risks. Hello, I'm Dr. Sally Ride. As a former astronaut, I know those risks. I flew in space on the 7th and 13th Space Shuttle missions, and though those missions weren't trouble-free, it was nothing compared to what the astronauts of Apollo 13 experienced. In the next half hour, we'll relive that harrowing experience through a behind-the-scenes look at the making of the new film, Apollo 13.
Okay, we're gonna rack back that way. Let's try rehearsal. Stand by, please.
Director Ron Howard brings to life this gripping drama, the true story of 3 astronauts struggling to survive in a crippled spacecraft, and of the commitment of the men and women of NASA, whose task it was to bring them home alive.
The odds against them making it back were kind of 10 to 1. The more I kept learning about the actual mission, the more I realized just how dramatic the truth in this particular instance is.
Short of landing a man on the moon in the first place, which all of mankind has been waiting for ever since, he first looked up at the moon, this is second place, without question. Going back to the moon wasn't as difficult as getting Apollo 13 back.
This is a movie that is really about not just the 3 astronauts, but the people in mission control and the astronauts' families as they stopped and prayed for the return of these guys.
It's a motion picture that's kind of bigger than all of us, and it's just something that we're so proud to be a part of, and it's one of the greatest human interest stories of all time.
Give me a go, no go for launch. Booster.
Go.
Retro.
Go.
FAO.
We are go.
Capcom.
We're go flight.
We are go for launch.
The clock is running.
Houston, we have cleared the tower in 1313.
They've lifted off, and for 2 days, everything is perfectly normal.
EDS to manual, inboard.
And that, gentlemen, is how we do that.
Okay, guys, we're going to the moon.
We're up there in the capsule, and we're on our way. And Looks like everything's going to go fine.
This is the crew of the Apollo 13, wishing everyone back on Earth a pleasant evening.
All of a sudden, a couple 100,000 miles from Earth,
About 2/3 of the way to the moon, a slight defect finally surrendered to Murphy's Law.
And there's a big explosion.
This explosion that completely crippled the spacecraft. Let's get that hatch button. The limb might have been hit by a meteor.
Odyssey, we need a confirmation. What system do you have down?
Houston, we have a main bus A undervolt.
Econ, what's your data telling you?
It's reading a quadruple failure. That can't happen.
At first, they really don't know exactly what it is.
We are venting something out into space.
I can see it outside of window 1 right now.
It's got to be the oxygen.
Hell yes, they were scared. They were very aware of emergency procedures, although they had never anticipated a quadruple failure.
We're not going to have power much longer. The ship's bleeding to death.
The Apollo 13 spacecraft has lost all electrical power.
Flight have loss of radio contact.
The whole world was kind of focused on these three guys floating around in this tin can that very easily could have just bounced off into space and become a floating museum.
Fredo, how long does it take to power up the limb?
3 hours by the checklist.
We don't have that much time.
Coming up, we'll take an in-depth look at how the filmmakers recreated the world of Apollo 13.
What's the story here, Jack?
Hey, Jim, that's MRCS.
Instructions understood.
Houston, we have a problem. The words that shook the universe. Apollo 13, the dramatic space adventure from Universal Pictures, opens June 30th. Hardee's and the Sci-Fi Channel want you to win your own space adventure for 2 at U.S. Space Camp. Enter today to win one of 5 trips to U.S. Space Camp. Send a postcard with your name, address, and phone number to Hardee's Apollo 13 U.S. Space Camp Sweepstakes, P.O. Box 38, New York, New York 10185. Watch the making of Apollo 13 special, June 24th through July 11th. Brought to you by Hardee's and the Sci-Fi Channel.
Finally, breakfast without that pesky sugar bear.
Don't be alarmed, Granny. We're just here for a little breakfast.
You won't get my golden crisp this time.
Tough to beat, but I gotta get my golden puffs of wheat.
Can't get enough of that golden crisp.
Oh, no, you don't.
I'd better reflect on this.
What?
Don't be shocked, Granny. I can never get enough of the honey sweet crunch of golden crisp.
It's part of a complete breakfast.
Helmets on, and now our mouth guards. Why mouth guards? You should always wear a mouth guard while playing sports, whether you're playing baseball, basketball, skateboarding, football, or riding your bicycle. Mouth guards protect your teeth and your smile, and mouth guards are cool. Cool!
If your children like Sesame Street, here's something they'll really love. Sesame Street Magazine. Created for kids 2 to 6, it's just as much fun and educational as the TV show. There's Elmo, Zoe, Big Bird, and all their friends. There are games to play, stories to read, pages to cut and color, and posters to collect. Big Bird and friends will help your children learn to read.
T is for cookie.
To count, and they'll enjoy Sesame Street Magazine alone or with you long after the show is over.
And with every issue, you'll also receive Sesame Street Parents, great for parents of preschoolers.
Get a 10-issue subscription to Sesame Street Magazine and get 10 issues of Sesame Street Parents at no extra cost, all for less than $1 each.
Call now, 800-652-4242. That's 800-652-4242.
In recreating the events of Apollo 13, the filmmakers and the cast and the crew were committed to making every aspect of the production as authentic as possible. In order to do so, the filmmakers worked closely with NASA consultants, many of whom were part of the original Apollo 13 mission.
Okay, let's shoot it.
Picture.
Here we go, quiet please. And camera action, action! I think we all feel this is sort of a rare opportunity. We'd hate to look back on this project and say that we didn't do our homework, that we didn't try to understand what it was to be an astronaut, what it was to be a mission controller, to experience it.
One of the areas in which the production was able to convey detailed accuracy was in the recreation of mission control in Houston. So much so that it almost fooled the experts.
When I first walked into the set, I could have sworn I was in Houston. They've got it so accurate that it's a little bit eerie.
Ron is an absolute fanatic about every little detail being correct. You know, I spend 14 hours a day here, and I leave and I go look for the elevator. You know, because the real control center in Houston was up on the 3rd floor, and I forget, this thing is so real.
Jerry Griffin and Jerry Bostick were original mission control members on Apollo 13 and were brought in by the filmmakers to be technical consultants for the many scenes that take place in mission control.
We're in the process of transferring over to the limb now. We've sucked some juice out of one of the reentry batteries.
And we need to think about that. We should be okay. These actors were like sponges. You just couldn't give them enough. And they kept asking questions, and they would want the next level of detail and the next level of detail. Well, I think it's going to show in the movie.
Flight, I recommend we shut down the reactant valves of the fuel cells.
What the hell good is that gonna do?
If that's where the leak is, we can isolate it there, and we can save what's left in the tanks, and we can run on the good cell.
You close them, you can't open them again. You can't land on the moon with one healthy fuel cell.
From my chair here, this is the last option.
For help in designing the authentic look of Apollo 13, the production turned to Max Airy and Spaceworks of the Kansas Cosmosphere, a space science museum dedicated to the preservation of American space program artifacts.
One of the primary reasons that those of us here at the Kansas Cosmosphere really wanted to participate in this film was Ron Howard's great desire to add realism and authenticity and historic accuracy in this film. We are producing all of the spacesuits, and one of the great challenges there is that no one has really tried to build replica spacesuits that were fully functional, all the hardware, all of the ventilation systems inside, and so on.
I feel it coming out of the back of my neck.
Yeah, it's supposed to come up into the helmet.
I see. I've been looking forward to the day when I could don the pressure suit.
And what's this?
It's a pressure gauge. It's a delta pressure gauge. The suit, so you can see what pressure you're pumped up to.
We're also building the interiors of all of the spacecraft that will be seen in the movie, the command modules, the lunar modules, and in some cases, actual artifacts from Apollo 13 from inside the spacecraft will be seen in this movie.
This is from one of the Flight Apollo spacecraft. There's a very good possibility that this one came out of Apollo 13. We do have a lot of original Apollo 13 hardware here. There were 2 of these in each Apollo command module. They function more or less the way that the artificial horizons do in aircraft, as far as giving them a visual reference as to the attitude of their spacecraft.
Altitude is on the line. Velocity right on the line.
For the actors, working in such a realistic environment greatly enhanced their performances, as did the on-set consultation with Apollo 15 Commander Dave Scott and the real-life commander of Apollo 13, Jim Lovell.
I think the fascination that I always had in the space program and in the story as well is in the tiny little particulars. Oh, that's how they did that. Oh, that's what they went through. Oh, it was so cold in the spacecraft that you could actually see your breath. And I'd ask Jim that. I said, so how cold was it? Oh, got around about 36, 38 degrees. So you could see your breath through, yeah, those last couple of days, yeah, it was pretty cold. That's the way he puts it.
Jim Lovell even took time for something few astronauts ever get to do: act in a movie.
These actors have surrounded themselves with the real astronauts in order to play these roles authentically.
It's been a process of trying to become comfortable with astronaut speak, because what sounds like a foreign language to laymen like myself is just second nature to them. We have Dave Scott, who's on the set almost every day, who's a tremendously helpful resource.
Yeah. But, you know, we're supposed to have the comm link right here that we have to, you know, when we're talking to NASA, we got to
PTT. Push to talk.
Push to talk.
Usually on a hot mic internal, but a push to talk to the ground.
Where was that? Was it right in your chest?
It's pretty easy to read.
So we stay hot. We're hot to each other.
I'm really impressed with the authenticity of the way they're doing this. And they're so interested in getting this accurate and precise down to not only the word, but the inflection of the word and the meaning behind the word.
Houston, we have a main bus A undervolt now, too. It's reading 25.5. Main bus B is reading zip right now. We got a wicked shimmy up here.
We build into every scene the switches that we'll be working on and the procedures that we'll be doing. So if we have a flight plan or a systems manual in our hand, we're actually turned to the page that we're talking about.
Tom Hanks is Commander Jim Lovell. I mean, he's spent a lot of time with Jim, but he's also obviously done a lot of research. I really believe Tom could fly a mission.
Our gimbals are good. Our trim is good. Get ready for a little choke, fellas.
That was some little joke.
The biggest challenge the filmmakers faced was filming the weightless space sequences. When we come back, we'll see how NASA played an integral part in tackling that challenge.
I got this crazy craving for a honeycomb.
Honeycomb, me one honeycomb. The craving just hit me, too. Honeycomb, me one honeycomb. I can't resist that craving, man. Hey, come on.
Ooh, sweet and crunchy.
Honeycomb's so sweet and crunchy.
Like toasted honey. Yeah, in that weird shape.
Me one honeycomb.
Yeah.
I mean, let's get some. Honeycomb! Craving won't be denied.
Honeycomb cereal is an irresistible part of this complete breakfast.
I've got a crazy craving for honeycomb!
Pterodactyl man! I'm the tickler!
I've been trashed.
What?
I need the chocolatiest tasting cereal in the world to beat him.
Kids say that's my Cocoa Pebbles.
More chocolatey than all the others to fight crime.
Hey! Barney, my Pebbles!
They really bowled me over.
Post Cocoa Pebbles cereal, part of this complete breakfast.
Rescued from the brink of death.
She's breaking up.
Transformed by radical technology.
We can rebuild him.
Part man. Part weapon. All bionic action. Steve Austin is the $6 Million Man on the Sci-Fi Channel. Weekdays at 6, 3 Pacific.
Here's an all-new children's live-action video that your kids will love. Great Big Fire Engines. Great Big Fire Engines takes kids on a 40-minute adventure with Firefighter Joe and Dalmatians Uncle Smokey and Little Rascal. They'll steer the hook and ladder truck, climb aboard the world's biggest fire truck, go to firefighting school, and ride in a festive fire engine parade. It's fun, exciting, and educational, too. Kids will learn the importance of fire safety along with these lovable talking Dalmatians.
If you think that's good, watch this.
This wonderful video makes a great gift. Children of all ages will treasure Great Big Fire Engines, laughing and learning with every viewing.
Uncle Smokey, what does this piece of spaghetti do?
Great Big Fire Engines is $14.95 plus $3.95 shipping and handling. For immediate delivery, call 1-800-652-4242 and get a full set of firefighting trading cards absolutely free with your paid order. Call 1-800-652-4242 now.
NASA's been able to simulate many aspects of space, including weightlessness. It was this expertise that led the filmmakers to ask NASA for help in filming the movie's many scenes that take place in a weightless environment.
Well, folks, let's head on down to the lunar excursion module. Follow me.
We were talking about how we were going to have to try to create zero gravity on the stage, how to pull that illusion off. And we're using every cinematic tool at our disposal. Every trick in the book is going into this. But for a number of the shots, I thought, well, there must be some way to actually work in zero gravity.
To achieve the unprecedented goal of filming in an actual zero-gravity environment, the filmmakers turned to NASA's astronaut training program and an aircraft unlike any other.
I've known about the KC-135 zero-G plane for a while, and I didn't quite know how it worked, but I'd heard that there was, that there was a way that the astronauts simulated zero gravity.
It flies in a parabola. It goes at a 45-degree angle up, and then it pitches over at 30,000 feet.
And then it does sort of like a giant roller coaster maneuver. It goes over the top.
And as you're going up over, well, the inertia carries you still up. And as it goes over and pitches down, you are essentially in free fall inside the cabin.
So you lift, and that begins the zero-G. We're not going to be able to work in the way that you usually work because we have a limited amount of time. We have to very specifically rehearse a whole series of shots. So we're breaking it down as meticulously as we can in terms of action, camera angles, lighting, and so forth, so that we can go in there and get as many shots as possible. It's kind of like a 2-minute drill in football, where time is working against you, and you just have to go do it. We know this is going to be hard, and it's challenging on a lot of levels, but it's kind of a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and we want to try to do it right. So we have a fully authentic command module and lunar module that's been built to safely go inside the KC-135, and we're shooting a good hunk of our movie that way. When they pull up, they start pulling 2 Gs, which is twice what you're used to. So your face presses back a little bit, and whatever position you're in, you really feel it.
I remember I was sitting next to Kevin, and then we were joking and talking about eating cheeseburgers and everything, and then as we started to go up and we felt our chins just started to be pulled down, we just, oh man, I thought, man, I'm gonna blow my cheese for sure.
Yeah, it's called the vomit comet.
They call it the vomit comet because almost everybody gets sick on this thing eventually. It's best to lay down and just take it all through your chest and everything. And then it goes over the top. All of a sudden, everything just starts to lighten. And it's just like you're almost tossed up, and suddenly you're floating.
You literally pop right up into zero gravity. It feels like you've just been spun upside down. All the blood goes into your head, and it feels like when you're in a Rocco plane at the amusement park, it just feels like you just got spun upside down. You think, hey, I'm upside down. No, I'm not. What's wrong? Why is it different? Oh, I'm floating.
Well, once we feel the lift, then everybody goes to their starting positions, camera rolls, and I say action, and we've got about 12 to 14 seconds of zero gravity to work with.
Float it, dumbbell.
And we were all learning how to do it. And I was off directing on the sidelines upside down sometimes. Float. Yeah, it looks pretty good, Tom.
It's a very tight atmosphere to work in. It's very frenetic because everybody's screaming at each other, trying to get it going.
30. There we go. 30.
And then everybody has to get to a safe position because as you pull out of it, if you're up by the ceiling, you just go smacking down onto the floor.
Yeah, we got
sucks you right down.
Some battle scars already.
Couple spots here.
Bill took a whack on the head.
The first day or so, they were flailing around. And by the 3rd or 4th day of filming, their movements were, much smoother, much more under control.
We could get all the shots that really sell the zero gravity, passing things and going through the tunnel and stuff that would just take days to do with cables. And then we got used to it, we started floating around, and pretty soon we were having the time of our lives up there. We just couldn't get enough of it.
You know what the best part is when you're not in the shot. You got to go through the parabolas anyway, and that's like fun time. When my wife initially saw the footage of us, she said there was this kind of look of bliss on my face that she had never seen. It was kind of childlike. And it is a very amazing experience the first time when you fly like Peter Pan. It's nothing like anything that you can really describe.
In between shots, Tom Hanks and I would look at each other and it's just, can you believe we're doing this? We're doing this! we're it's zero gravity!
When we come back, we'll look at the endless obstacles the astronauts of Apollo 13 faced as they fought their way back to Earth in a powerless spacecraft.
To celebrate Apollo 13, Hardee's salutes great American heroes like Mark Stevens, who picked up a bring-em-home family value meal at Hardee's, just $13. 10 pieces of fresh and juicy fried chicken, 5 biscuits, choice of 3 large side dishes, and 1 large serving of peach cobbler. Making him a hero to his family. Nowhere in this great land can you find a greater value, just $13.
Fresh from the kitchen at Hardee's, over.
I'll never forget the time Mom went to the store and forgot to get the Crunch Berry cereal. No Crunch? No berries? I had to think fast. It's a good thing Captain Crunch has a fax machine. Then, there they were. The Captain, the only berries in Crunch, and part of my balanced breakfast.
That's what I call fast food.
Then, everything was cool.
How can I ever thank you, Captain?
Can I, borrow your car? Crunch berries, the only berries with Captain's Crunch.
One magazine speaks to the sailor, sailing world. Learn how to maneuver small boats in tight quarters and large ones where inches count. Read about major regattas like the America's Cup and the latest developments in professional sailing. You guys ready? If you want to improve your sailing performance, you should read Sailing World too.
Call 800-652-4242. Subscribe now and get 12 issues of Sailing World for only $12. Order now.
This is the Inside Space Report for the week ending July 8, 1995. Ron Howard does a masterful job recreating the drama and tension of Apollo 13. But in the real-life drama, Commander James Lovell, Fred Hayes, and Jack Swigert maintained a sense of humor under life-threatening circumstances.
By the way, Aquarius, we see the results now from 12's seismometer. Looks like your booster just hit the moon and it's rocking it a little bit. Over. Well, at least something worked on this flight.
For the real story of Apollo 13, watch Inside Space, Sunday at 9:30 Eastern.
With a crippled spacecraft, the crew of Apollo 13 had to abandon its plans to land on the moon. Their mission quickly turned into a life-or-death situation in their struggle to get home.
They just had no margin for error anymore. None. Every step of the mission from that point on was critical, crucial.
Odyssey, this is Houston.
We've got serious time pressure here, Jim.
How much time? Can you give me a number?
Well, we're looking at less than 15 minutes of life support in the Odyssey.
Everything was kind of okay as long as it worked, and as long as their backup systems worked. But those things began to unravel.
Yeah, Jim, could you check your CO2 gauge for us?
Part of the problem was that all 3 guys were spending a lot of time in the LEM.
Yeah, Houston, we were just looking at that. Our CO2 measurement has jumped 4 notches in the last hour. The CO2 level built up and built up and built up. Now, if you start breathing too much CO2, you get a headache and eventually you fall asleep and you never wake up again.
It's a movie that hopefully makes you understand what it was like to be there, what it was like to be in the capsule.
This rate, we're going to skip right out of the atmosphere, and we're never going to get back.
What it was like to be at home, waiting for people that you loved to get back.
I have a request from the news people.
They can take it up with my husband. He'll be home on Friday.
What it was like to be in mission control with no sleep and trying to make the crucial calculations to send up to these 3 men who were relying on that information.
We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch. Failure is not an option.
That's why it's suspenseful, and that's why it's thrilling and exciting. That's why it makes a great story.
Why are so many people here?
Something broke on your daddy's spaceship.
Gene, the Odyssey is dying.
You're the worst disaster NASA's ever experienced.
Odyssey, this is Houston. Do you read me?
With all due respect, sir, I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
The experience the astronauts and NASA gained from the events of Apollo 13 would help tremendously in the Apollo missions that followed, in the shuttle missions of today, and eventually in the space missions of the future. Though it was a harrowing 5 days, it truly can be called NASA's finest hour. I'm Dr. Sally Ride. Thanks for watching.
They may appear to be small, but their size is totally out of this world. Land of the Giants, coming up next on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Coming up on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Acquiring downlink.
4, 3, 2, 1.
There are always steps to be taken, one right after another, and what you do is you calmly and rationally, and sometimes as quickly as possible, go through those steps.
We were, of course, in serious danger of losing all of our oxygen, which meant all of our electrical power and our propulsion system would die also.
The real story of Apollo 13. This is a very exciting summer in space. Hi, I'm Jeff Fox, and this time on Inside Space, I'm at the Space Center in Houston, Texas. Now think about this. Norm Thagard has been up in the mirror, set a U.S. record for time spent. He will be retrieved by the shuttle, which this time actually will be acting like a shuttle. And this summer, Ron Howard's brand new film, Apollo 13. In fact, that's why we're in Houston. This is the weekend of the big press showing. And right here at the Space Center, just a whole exhibit of the things that went into the movie. But as long as we're going to meet the director and the stars, you might as well too.
Apollo 13 flight controllers, give me a go, no-go for launch. Booster.
Go.
Retro. Go. Vital.
We're go flight.
Guidance. Guidance go. Surgeon.
Go flight.
Ecom.
We're go flight.
GNC.
We're go.
Telmute. Go. Control.
Go flight.
Procedure.
Ron Howard's Apollo 13 might be the most historically accurate entertainment Hollywood has ever produced. 25 years ago, the mass media had begun to present a workaday attitude about space. But according to the men and women who actually lived them, manned space launches were anything but predictable.
It's nothing routine about flying to the moon, I can vouch for that.
There were giants on and off the Earth in those days.
Man, that may have been a small one for Neil, but that's a long one for me.
Apollo 13 is based on an autobiographical account by Jim Lovell, naval aviator, astronaut on Gemini 7 and commander of Gemini 12. He'd come tantalizingly close to the moon on Apollo 8. But when an ear infection bumped Al Shepard's crew from the third lunar mission, Lovell thought he had his shot.
And counting. You know that Easter vacation trip we had planned for Acapulco?
Uh-oh.
Well, I was thinking there might be a slight change in destination.
Really?
Maybe, say, the moon. Jim is a very competitive and driven, and yet at the same time completely pleasant and unobtrusive kind of guy. He does have everything very well organized. If you're going to be taking a trip with Jim, he'll do everything. He'll drive, he'll tell you when you're going to eat, He'll plot out the gas. He'll suggest when you can you can take 20 minutes nap now. He's that organized.
It's hard for me to recognize those qualities. I try to do everything logically and to make sure that we cover all of our bases. And that's perhaps what Tom was talking about.
Houston, we have a main bus A undervolt now too. It's reading 25.5. Main bus B is reading SIP right now.
Bill Paxton plays Fred Hayes, a Mississippi-born engineer who had served in the Navy, Marines, and Air Force.
Tell me a little bit about Fred Hayes.
I found him to be very rueful, a good sense of humor, and I tried to bring some of that to it. He's a rocket scientist. I mean, these guys are aerospace engineers, orbital mechanics. He still had kind of a country boy sense about him.
He was in the flying business.
Yeah, he's in the flying business.
The only military choice I had that would lead to a commission as an officer was the Naval Aviation Cadet Program. I had never been in an airplane in my life, had no desire to fly, but it was a way to become an officer.
What was that gauge reading before you hit the switch?
Hey, don't tell me how to fly the damn CM, all right?
You don't
they brought
even
me in
know,
here
do you?
to do a job. They asked me to stir the damn tanks, and I stirred the tanks.
I just asked you what the gauge was reading. All right, we're not. And you don't.
Kevin Bacon had an additional acting challenge. His portrayal of Jack Swigert, an Air Force fighter jock also making his first trip into space, had to be based on other people's memories. The citizens of Colorado had elected Swigert to Congress in 1982, but he died of cancer before he could serve.
Jack was just a new guy on that crew, and I think he adapted very well, and he did everything that was asked of him. I think that entire crew were absolutely superb to work with.
Gene Kranz was one of 4 flight directors on 13. He was sitting console during most of the critical mission phases. Gene is today, as he was then, exactly the sort of guy you'd want doing that job. Disciplined, concerned with morale. He's tough. He's competent. The very definition of a mission controller. Kranz is played by Ed Harris.
He knew what he was doing, that's for sure. He was responsible for it all. Once that rocket leaves the launch pad, you know, it's his baby. He's calling the shots.
The flight director's got the responsibility during the course of the mission for every action associated with mission success and crew safety. This mission, Apollo 13, very rapidly moved from the mission success, get to the moon and land on it, down to a survival type situation.
It's April 1970. America is fighting an undeclared war in Southeast Asia and struggling with a cultural revolution back home. Nixon rules the White House, but rock rules the airwaves. And out at Cape Kennedy's Launch Complex 39, Apollo 13, NASA's first real lunar science mission, is making ready for liftoff.
I'm going to step off the limb now.
4 Americans have walked on the moon and returned to walk among us. Some Americans are questioning the value of sending others. Many Americans are simply preoccupied, caught up in sweeping societal changes as patriotism and uniformity fall out of alignment. Most Americans have become comfortable with the space age. They've forgotten the danger. Forgotten that 3 years earlier, 3 American astronauts lost their lives nowhere near space.
Here are 3 guys who are always looking at death, and in a job that even when you're just practicing, you can die.
It sets the stakes. Apollo 1 really showed you what could go wrong and how dangerous this whole situation
It showed that, look, machines will break down. And this is what these guys were trusting not only the entire prestige of their undertaking, but their lives to as well. It's the fact that an engineered machine will work well enough in order to take them to the moon and bring them back home. And we all know that we all have toaster ovens that don't always work the way they're supposed to.
And one of the first things you think about when you see the Apollo capsule, especially when you stand next to it, is it's tiny, at least relatively tiny. Compare this to the space shuttle. This could probably fit in the space shuttle. And you had 3 guys sitting cheek to jowl. It's unbelievable.
Now, when we come back, we'll meet some of the people who lived through Apollo 13. So don't go away.
This is Houston. We are go for launch.
4, 3, 2, 1.
What a night! The Burger King opening night party for Disney's Pocahontas. Now in theaters. What'd you think?
I loved it.
Non-stop action. Excellent adventure. Only Pocahontas has it all. Only Burger King lets your kids relive the magic of Pocahontas with these 8 action toys. They get one with each Pocahontas Kids Club hamburger meal for just $1.99. Personally, I found Percy's performance especially moving.
Burger King, get your burger's worth.
Rosetto Pasta announces the end of Tuesday as we know it. Monday starts the week. Friday's party time. Tuesday's not even a midpoint. It's dull. Save Tuesday with the Rosetto Pasta Rescue, RPR for short. Once your family tastes Rosetto ravioli with its ricotta, pecorino, and Parmesan cheeses spiced to perfection, they might actually like Tuesday because they'll get an authentic pasta dinner with the ease of boiling water. So mark your calendar. Rosetto every Tuesday. Comes around every week or so. Purchase required. Look in your freezer case.
%of top athletes polled prefer more carbos. With 33% more carbos than Gatorade, it's Powerade.
Being married to a dentist, we're always getting free samples of toothpaste. But what do? I buy Mentadent.
Mentadent has all 3 ingredients dentists recommend most for the care of teeth and gums.
Fluoride, baking soda, and peroxide. These are the ingredients my husband recommends. On your toothbrush, into your mouth, as you're brushing, you can feel bubbles everywhere. Hundreds of bubbles all over your mouth, giving you a fresh, clean feeling. Mentadent's accepted by the American Dental Association. My husband would never recommend a product that wasn't.
Welcome to the Dominion. The gateway to the world of science fiction on the internet. Catch it on the World Wide Web. The Sci-Fi Channel welcomes you to the edge.
You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
This free video shows you how Bowflex lets you outperform Nordic Flex and Soloflex. Call for yours right now. You need to see this free video. Bowflex lets me perform the strength aerobic workout I want in 20 minutes. It's quick, it's easy, and it makes my body feel incredible. There's simply nothing else like it. You can change the amount of weight you're using by adding more power rods. The cable pulley system accommodates 64 different exercises. It's even backed by a lifetime warranty. If you're like me, and at first you looked at machines like Soloflex and Nordic Flex, you've got to see what Bowflex can do for you. It simply produces results. Call right now for this free 15-minute video. It will show you exactly how Bowflex will let you outperform Soloflex and Nordic Flex. You'll be surprised at how effective Bowflex really is. If you want to see the easiest, most effective way of exercising at home, you need to see this video. It's absolutely free, so call for yours right now.
And we're back on Inside Space from the Space Center in Houston. Sort of ironic that this command module, or the command module for Apollo 13 actually, was called the Odyssey because the trip turned out to be quite an odyssey. In fact, Tom Hanks said it's as great a saga as anything the Greeks ever put to paper. One of the 7 greatest stories in literature. How do you get back home?
We are go for launch. T-minus
15, 14, 13, 12.
I had been to see a launch. I found it to be this sort of immensely powerful experience.
Sequence start. 3, 2, 1. Houston, we have cleared the tower at 1313.
The launch sequence got me when we were, well, we're in the full suits, which are, they're not airtight, but you do have to have air pumped into it in order to breathe we're yanked back into those seats flat on our backs. And when they started shaking that thing, you know, and we're shouting out our lines, and there's a lot of noise going on, I tell you, I felt like we were riding it.
The Saturn V is the most powerful launcher of its time, able to throw 200,000 pounds into orbit. It stands 363 feet tall and weighs almost 6.5 million pounds. Its first 3 stages will loft Apollo 13 into a 118-mile-high parking orbit. The 4th stage will send them tracking for the moon. Several hundred miles downrange, second stage engine number 5 cuts off 2 minutes early. Controllers and crew hope this is the worst they'll have to deal with on 13.
Looks like we just had our glitch for this mission.
Well, anytime you lose an engine in a launch phase, it's pucker time. And I frankly had forgotten that it cut off as early as it did. And those other 4 engines just continued to burn, had to burn a little bit longer and used up all the same amount of fuel. So it ended up not to be a big problem.
And we kind of took things one thing at a time. Right. We had the problem. We knew when we get off that stage we'd be okay. And we didn't carry it over in any way that it was going to be a precursor of anything that was going to happen. But we were ready to respond to anything that happened during the rest of the flight, as we had to later on.
For 56 hours, Apollo 13 smoothly obeys Sir Isaac Newton's laws. Lovell, Hayes, and Swigert perform a customary live TV broadcast. But up against Dick Cavett, Laugh-In, and the movie of the week, the Apollo 13 show is seen only in Mission Control.
Okay, good evening, America, and welcome aboard Apollo 13. Hello, world. Jack, anytime you want to terminate TV, we're all set to go. Okay, Jim, it's been a real good TV show.
With the TV show over, Houston has just a few housekeeping chores for the crew before they're due to enter a sleep period. One item is to stir the cryogenic tanks containing super cold oxygen. Not quite a liquid and not quite a gas, the oxygen will stratify and fail to flow correctly unless it's stirred by a small fan located inside the tanks. As command module pilot, it's Swigert's job.
Dane, we've got one more item for you when you get a chance. We'd like it to stir up your cryo tanks.
Roger that.
Houston, we've had a problem. Main B, bus undervolt. Roger, main B undervolt. Stand by, 13, we're looking at it.
The explosion that took but a second was actually 2 years in the making. A faulty temperature-controlled switch that somehow made it past all the checkpoints from manufacture to launch. The Lovell's crew didn't know it. One oxygen tank had overheated. A couple of stirring fan rotations, and the pressure was just too much.
But at the time of the explosion in the spacecraft, several controllers had single events that occurred. The instrumentation communications guy called up and said, hey, flight, we switched from narrow beam to wide beam. We had a main bus undervolt. So there were indications of something showing up in many of the controllers' console. And very shortly thereafter, you heard the crew come down and say, hey, Houston, we've got a problem.
But it really took us a while to decide what the problem was or how bad it was. We had been trained not to jump too quickly, not to do things too quickly until we were sure of what we were doing. And the problem that people were having in the control center is there was such a massive set of indications of a problem of a very large dimension that people weren't sure that they could believe what they were seeing on their gauges.
One at a time, people. One at a time. One at a time. Ecom, is this an instrumentation problem, or are we looking at real power loss here?
It's reading a quadruple failure. That can't happen. It's got to be instrumentation.
They were searching for some common explanation which would help explain all of these crazy readings, and one of those common explanations could be something wrong with the instrumentation system, some kind of electrical problem.
And that's the most frustrating kind of problem that you can have as a flight controller, is to know that things are happening and you don't know exactly what they are.
We had a pretty large bang associated with the caution and warning now.
And Lovell kept saying it was kind of a fine spray, almost like a mist.
See, and it looks to me, looking out the hatch, that we are venting something.
But then it crystallized and stayed with them. And then, of course, there were particles, mylar particles, and pieces of metal, you know, from the explosion.
We are venting something out into space.
Roger, we copy your venting. Okay, can you tell us anything about the venting?
Okay.
Where it's coming from? What window you see it at?
Coming out of window 1 right now, Jack.
I couldn't tell you today why I looked out the window, but then that's when I saw the gas escaping, and that told me that we were, of course, in serious danger of losing all of our oxygen, which meant all of our electrical power and our propulsion system would die also.
Then when Jim Lovell came down and said, hey, we're venting something, then it was sort of like you had just got rabbit punched. You hit it right in the back of the head. And all of a sudden it says, not only is this a problem, this is a survival situation we're moving into. So let's start thinking down that track right now.
We were worried about water, we were worried about power, we were worried about oxygen to breathe, worried about all the consumables, as we call them.
And my concern was increasing all the time. It went from, I wonder what this is going to do to the landing, to I wonder if we can get back home again.
We now show an altitude of 180,521 nautical miles. Here in Mission Control, we're now looking towards an alternate mission, swinging around the moon and using the lunar module power systems because of the situation that has developed here this evening. This is Apollo Control, Houston.
With limited oxygen, there's not only a problem with life support, there's also no way to make enough electrical power or enough water. In Mission Control, Krantz decides the lunar module must become the lifeboat home. Named Aquarius, the lunar module was designed to support 2 people for up to 45 hours. Now, it must sustain 3 for almost double that time. For the crew of Apollo 13, the moon is lost.
I'll say the immediate thing I had, emotion, was just frustration and sick to my stomach and with disappointment because the mission was aborted. We had a cascading set of things that had to work right for our survival. The first was that the limb had not been damaged by the explosion. The second thing was to use the LEM engine to get pointed back in the right direction. We were headed in a direction that would still have us in orbit today.
Once we thought it was survival, that we were going to have some difficulties getting the crew back home, each one of the controllers thought, what do I got to save in order to get there? How can I cut a corner to provide a little bit more electrical power? So this control team very smoothly moved into, let's figure out how we're going to get this guy home.
We have to turn off the radars, cabin heater, instrument displays, the guidance computer, the whole smack.
Whoa, guidance computer? What if they need to do another burn? Gene, they won't even know which way they're pointed.
The more time we talk down here, the more juice they waste up there. I've been looking at the data for the past hour.
That's the deal?
That's the deal.
Okay, John. The minute we finish the burn, we'll power down the LEM.
All right.
What kind of guy were you as a...
Well, I think I was probably one of the most emotional of the flight directors. I generally would let my feelings be expressed very clearly. And I think everybody that knew me was able to read me pretty well, and I spent a lot of time with them. I could read them pretty well, so...
Find out how to squeeze every amp out of both of these goddamn machines. I want this mark all the way back to Earth with time to spare. We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch.
You're quoted in the movie as saying that nothing like this would happen on your watch.
That's exactly right. You have to take and put all of the mission experiences together. Many of these folks started off in Mercury. Mercury was no piece of cake. We had a bunch of problems there, but we pulled it out. Came along Gemini. Gemini, we had the confidence to use the space systems we were given. Apollo, we had problems in the early days, but we learned to solve them all. We got confidence in the spacecraft, we got confidence in the crew, we had confidence in the training process, we had confidence in ourselves, and that's what it took to get this crew home.
Lovell, Hayes, and Swigert fight a buildup of poison gas as Inside Space presents more on the real story of Apollo 13. Stay with us.
I smoke, but at many fast food restaurants, it's not on the menu. So I've got an order of my own, Wrigley Spearmint Gum. It's got a cool, clean taste that everyone enjoys. So when I can't smoke, I enjoy pure chewing satisfaction.
What would Holiday Inn be like if families could still have all kinds of fun, but for less money? Actually, it would be just like Ramada. What would Holiday Inn be like if its staff was so friendly and helpful they were rated higher than the competition's? Actually, it would be just like Ramada.
Breyers has created a spectacular dessert called Viennetta, but this delicious premium ice cream with its crispy, chocolatey layers could cause one small problem. Viennetta from Breyers. One slice is never enough.
Now there's another way to give them pizza anytime. Nachos at noontime, quesos after school time, eat them at the midnight chime. When pizza's on a bagel, you can eat pizza anytime. Try Fiesta Bagel Bites, bite-sized pizzas on wholesome bagels.
Now that Pocahontas is playing everywhere, every kid wants to be John Smith.
Hey, follow me!
And since John Smith found something magical on his journey, kids can find something magical too at Burger King, where they can get these fun action toys like Miko or Flit with the Pocahontas Kids Club hamburger meal, all for just $1.99. John Smith traveled the world for adventure. All your kids have to do is go to Burger King. Burger King, get your burgers worth.
I smoke, but at work it's not allowed. So I employ my own plan, Wrigley Spearmint Gum. That cool, clean taste makes me a success with all my co-workers. So when I can't smoke, I share some pure chewing satisfaction.
I'm Ben Kingsley. Join me as the Sci-Fi Channel takes you behind the scenes of the motion picture Species. Meet the actors, director, and special effects wizards who brought the science fiction shocker to life. Get a glimpse of the creature created by H.R. Giger, the designer of Alien. Don't miss Evolution of Species here on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Tonight at 11:30, 8:30 Pacific.
Sam Beckett has not been himself lately.
Oh, boy.
Quantum Leap, weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern.
And here's what the papers of the day said about Apollo 13. I think NASA put a pretty good spin on it the first day. As controllers deal with the cascade of problems, word begins to spread about the troubled mission.
I know you deceive me, now here's a song.
For the crewmen of the Apollo 13, we'll hold silence for a moment, please.
This was sort of hidden from us back then. If you look at the old headline from the Houston Chronicle, from the first day it says, chances of return, excellent. Did we make a mistake by sort of holding this from the public, how much danger that these three guys were in?
I don't think they wanted to create a sense of panic. You know, I think that in a lot of ways they're, fairly guarded about it. But the fact of the matter is, by the time they did come back, it was pretty well known what was going on, and I think the entire world really rallied around their safe return.
At the moment, the astronauts are continuing to try to isolate their trouble. A late report says the spacecraft now is operating on battery power alone. All unnecessary equipment is being turned off.
It seems that the entire world is caught up in Apollo 13's flight, but in the Flight Control Center, the size of Gene Krantz' universe has shrunk to just the spacecraft, the astronauts, and the ground support staff.
An important point to remember at this time, too, is the fact that we had gotten off what we call the free return trajectory. We had done our mid-course maneuver sometime before, and this meant that we were no longer on a path that would allow us to be swung around the moon and come back towards the landing spot on the Earth. We had gotten off this trajectory because we wanted to go to our landing site.
April 14th, 2:43 a.m. Lovell commands the lunar module Aquarius to fire its descent engine, the one they would have used to land on the moon. This burn will slingshot Odyssey and Aquarius around the far side of the moon and back on a course toward Earth.
but not before consumables will run out. Apollo 13 needs a fast track home.
Our second milestone was what was known as the paracynthium +2 burn. Because consumables were critical, we had decided to burn at about 2 hours past the moon, at about 79 hours, a maneuver to shorten the time to get home again.
The burn looked very good. In fact, it was an excellent burn. Our peak current during the burn was around 50 amps. Immediately thereafter, we gave the crew their initial power down information to bring the majority of the spacecraft systems down, with the exception of the communications system.
12 hours or so prior to the burn, Kraft was mumbling about getting powered down. He wanted to get powered down right now. And Deke Slayton was sitting over there, and he just wanted to get the crew to sleep. We were keeping them up too long and all this kind of stuff. So we finished that burn, and all of a sudden, 3 people. Kraft comes down here, Slayton comes over, and in through the door walks Max Fauget. And they all want exactly the opposite things. Fauget wants to get into the spacecraft. He's worried about spacecraft thermal control. Slayton wants crew put to sleep. Kraft wants powered down. And all were non-compatible.
Moments later, the crew powers down the LEM. They'll need to save all remaining battery for re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. By 2:30 a.m. on the 15th, just 8 hours later, the temperature in Aquarius is ranging from 85 degrees in the sunlight to 22 degrees in the shadows.
I went in there one time to go to sleep, and Jack was on top of the couch and said, "Jack, put up all the window shades. Let's get the place nice and dark. We'll just relax and have it nice and dark in here. We can really get some sleep." And I woke up a couple hours later, and I was freezing.
Eventually, the entire spacecraft got down to about 35 degrees Fahrenheit, which is about the temperature of a refrigerator.
I recall that we went in there to get some hot dogs one day, and it was like reaching into the freezer for the food. And Fred and I broke out our lunar boots, which we had stowed away in the lunar module, and Jack looked at his wet feet a couple times. But he had an extra set of underwear, so he put that on.
The next most critical thing to me was that the vehicle stayed functional as we cooled them off. We chilled them down, and ourselves for that matter, down to below 40 degrees. In some areas of the vehicles it actually froze.
Moisture was forming everywhere. Frost was forming on the windows. It was getting cold.
We knew they were desperately cold. We knew they were desperately tired. But again, we had our job to do. They had their job to do.
There's little to do now, but wait, shiver against the cold, and try to rest. Lovell, Hayes, and Swigert have to limit themselves to 6 ounces of drinking water each per day. This will not only conserve water, but reduce the accumulation of urine in the capsule.
The only mistake we probably made throughout the whole flight that caused any concern, and it wasn't real serious, is that we asked them to, remember we asked them to stow all the waste. We told them to quit using the urine dump, and so they started stowing it in bags.
We thought we were told anyway that don't put any wastewater dumps over the side because it might disturb the trajectory, and we're tracking you, and we want to make sure that you can come back and hit the proper angle to re-enter.
We didn't mean for them to do that the whole mission. We forgot to tell them to go ahead and start dumping that stuff, so that by the time they got to the end of the flight, they had bags of urine stored all over that place.
The long journey home is taking its toll on the astronauts. Fred Hayes is rapidly showing signs of a deep systemic infection.
Yeah, what I developed was a lower prostate infection, which you can get here. I mean, it has nothing to do with space. And that was due, I assume, to the coldness, dehydration.
So he had what they call a motorman's friend. It's basically like a catheter you wear with a bag, and you urinate into that. And he digressed into a fever and the shakes, and by the end of the flight, he was in really pretty bad shape.
On board, the crew think they can breathe a little easier. They can see the way out of this now. But the mission management team is tuning into a new threat. Oxygen for life support isn't really the problem. Carbon dioxide buildup is.
There was a fellow named Ed Smiley, and he's in the movie, who quite early on recognized we're going to have a CO2 problem before too much longer.
Both lunar module and mothership are equipped with canisters of lithium hydroxide to scrub the astronauts' exhaled carbon dioxide out of the air. But because Odyssey and Aquarius are built by two different companies, the canisters from one won't fit the other.
We gotta find a way to make this fit into the hole for this, using nothing but that. So let's get it organized.
Okay, let's build a filter.
We had this situation where you have a square cylinder and a round hole because of the differences in the two spacecraft. And these guys went off and figured out a way to get this thing done and tape it up with using checklist covers and plastic bags and hoses, suit hoses.
And the ground read us up a procedure in order to adapt some of the command module lithium hydroxide canisters for use in the LEM.
We read that thing we didn't have in those days. Today we'd probably shoot that up on a teleprinter and have the whole procedure. We had to read this very detailed procedure, take a 3-foot piece of tape, do this, do that.
They show in the movie, and I guess Lovell says in the book, that they actually, when they finally did it, they came and they ran right up to this desk where we're sitting here. He puts it on your desk, and it's this contraption with masking tape.
Whole bunch of paper and masking tape and everything else. That is correct.
Jim and I constructed one of these things. At this point in time, I think the partial pressure of carbon dioxide was reading about 15 millimeters. And we constructed 2 of these things and put them online, and I think within an hour, the partial pressure of CO2 was down to 0.2.
I think the thing that really was neat is that when we got the picture back from the lunar module, got the picture back of what they had done, it looked exactly like they had the one we had built on the ground.
The engineering team that we have supporting the flight operations, it's called spacecraft analysis, would always come up with some gimmicky kind of thing to figure out some way to work around the problems we were having on board the spacecraft. It eventually turned into a discipline we called in-flight maintenance.
With no computers online, the crew of Apollo 13 must perform a never-before-tried manual maneuver when inside space returns.
Today, bad breath is polluting our air. Now's the time for Big Minty Certs, the only mint with retsin to freshen breath. Freshen your breath, save the air, have a Certs.
Our lives are ultra intense. We have major pressures. So Secret made something revolutionary for us. Ultra Dry. This is huge. Keeps you drier than any other kind out there. A pH-balanced soft solid that goes on dry and vanishes like that. So 2 clicks give us ultimate dryness. Our lives do manage. Secret Ultra Dry. Strong enough for him. But now, the ultimate in dryness for us.
What do you like best about Sprint Sense?
10 cents a minute. 10 cents a minute. I know what I'm getting when I'm calling on the phone.
The rates are a flat rate. They're $0.10 a minute.
It's no wonder over the last few months so many people have signed up for Sprint Sense. 10 cents a minute every evening and all weekend long. It's as simple as that.
1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes.
$0.10 a minute is a wonderful deal.
So even if I go for an hour, it's only going to cost me $6.
So, what are you paying for a minute of long distance?
Call now for 10 cents a minute and get up to 100 minutes free.
Julia Murray is doing something her allergies and the pollen never let her do before. She's watching one of the finest 9-year-olds ever to play the game. Thanks to Benadryl, the histamine blocker. It actually blocks the histamine that triggers allergic reactions. Take Benadryl and take back your life.
And try Benadryl dye-free, the allergy medication with no artificial colors or dyes.
Today, bad breath is polluting our air. Now's the time for Big Minty Certs, the only mint with retsin to freshen breath. Freshen your breath, save the air, have a Certs.
You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
The Sci-Fi Channel asks the question, what do Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Dourif, Angela Bassett, and a rotary telephone have in common? Their food. Critters.
All they do is eat.
Critters 3.
They're things from outer space.
And Critters 4. A Critters triple feature on the Sci-Fi Channel. Next Sunday beginning at noon.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Action!
Houston, we have a problem. We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch.
The Making of Apollo 13, hosted by Sally Ride, Tuesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern.
There is evil in these faces. Poised, prepared, hungry. You want me to kill someone? They wait to be freed from the curse of ancient objects.
This nightmare continues over and over and over.
Friday the 13th, the series, weeknights at 10, 7 Pacific on the Sci-Fi Channel.
For centuries, African women have used their heads. Now, more than ever, they are using what's inside. The United Nations, helping women reach their full potential.
This is me 5 years ago when I joined Pound Pinchers. And this is me now.
For permanent fat loss, diets don't work. You need to build muscle.
Before, after.
And the best way to do that is with the SoloFlex rocket. No matter what shape you're in, you can rock your way to a slimmer figure and more muscle. So get on the rocket today and get on the road to permanent fat loss. The SoloFlex rocket. Call now for a free brochure and video.
To get a complete aerobic and muscle building workout, you could run and lift weights and cycle and climb stairs and lift weights and cycle and lift weights and climb stairs and cycle. Or you could just lay back and relax. Introducing the SoloFlex Rocket, a total fitness machine that gives you an aerobic workout and builds muscle at the same time. And you can own it for less than you'd imagine. Call now for a free video and brochure.
This is the size of the lifeboat, the lunar module, that saved the astronauts. And take my word for it, television makes things look bigger than they really are. 3 guys in here. It's just a shame that this piece of equipment that saved the astronauts couldn't be brought back with the astronauts.
A few seats away from the flight director sits the person in charge of trajectory, and he wasn't a happy fellow. Apollo 13 is starting to veer markedly and mysteriously off track. No one remembers that Aquarius is built to vent tiny amounts of steam into space. Lunar modules are designed for short jaunts to the moon. A few puffs of gas wouldn't amount to much, but over a 200,000-mile voyage in zero gravity, a tiny repeated velocity vector can mean the difference between making it home and becoming a permanent monument to human confusion.
In about 105 hours, the ground, after some tracking, realized that we were not on a trajectory that would get us safely back home, and that we'd have to make another maneuver.
To conserve power, the crew cannot risk activating the LEM's navigational platform. Electrical energy must be saved to power up the command module before re-entry.
This last maneuver was going to be unique because we did not have the platform powered up. So we didn't have a normal method of determining the attitude of the spacecraft in order to perform the burn. Because it was a manual burn, we had a 3-man operation. Jack would take care of the time. He'd tell us when to light off the engine, when to stop it. Fred handled the pitch maneuver, I handled the roll maneuver, and I pushed the buttons to start and stop the engine. So maybe we ought to recommend a 3-man LEM after this, I don't know.
The control system was designed only to fly the lunar module. And when that big mass was on there, the center of gravity moved way out. And movements with our thrusters will not give us the same results. And we had to learn if one movement of the thruster, what that would do to the actual change in the attitude of the spacecraft.
You begin, as a layman, you begin to realize just
how challenging a lot of those procedures were.
For instance?
The manual burn. This is not like I just had to keep the car, you know, on the straightaway and make sure we didn't go over 25 miles an hour. So, I mean, this was something that had really never been tried, and it was a life or death maneuver.
The die is cast. There's nothing to do but wait. 70 hours will elapse before the vacuum of space will be chased away by the homeworld's atmosphere. Fred Hayes is cold, ill, weak, and uncomfortable. Lovell and Swigert begin to worry just how this will turn out.
You know, Fred Hayes said something when we met him. He said, well, when there wasn't anything to do, and there were hours and hours where there was nothing for them to do, he said then that was bad, he said. And to hear that coming from the guy, you know, that really speaks volumes.
Fear is not a bad thing. It's the human body's way of bringing all systems online to deal with a dicey situation. Was the crew of 13 ever scared?
When you say scared, I think we were concerned. The thing that you have to realize is that it was not one of these out of control, your car skidding toward the wall or off the road.
You know, as time went on, we got more and more confidence in the fact that we'd get home.
Did they ever think they'd run out of options?
We never gave that a thought. As long as we had something to do, we just kept doing it.
I think they have to a certain extent, try their best to put the fear of death out of their minds. We kept trying to say, you know, were you scared? Were you scared? What was it like being scared? You know, and they kept saying again and again and again, we just wanted to work our way through the problem and, you know, run through the systems. And, you know, we had a tremendous amount of help on the ground, and we were trying to figure out what to do, and, you know, minute to minute. That's really the way they have to think. That's the only way to deal with it.
All three of us knew enough about the command module to know that this was not supposed to happen, and that we were actually in very, very serious trouble. And I had two very competent people on board.
Is he a right stuff kind of guy?
I think the right stuff has become this kind of, not two-dimensional version of it, but a kind of a quick identification kit for your average astronaut. I found them all to be, and Jim particular, to be first off an engineer, a guy who understands the systems and knows that there are always steps to be taken, one right after another. And what you do is you calmly and rationally, and sometimes as quickly as possible, go through those steps. That's what Jim did on the flight. But even he himself, he told me, and he intimates it in the book, that there were some times there where the eyes rolled the back of his head, and they honestly wondered, how in the world did this happen to me?
We are about 70 hours from home, and we think we have the situation in control. We've projected the consumables as I've described, and we have a plan for carrying out the rest of the mission, but there's going to be no relaxation at all.
We've tried to simulate virtually everything that we've had the crew to do that is non-normal that they've done, and we've proven most everything that we've been able to run on the simulator prior to passing it up to them. There may be some details we haven't done, but at least we've checked the feasibility of everything we've done, and we'll continue to do that.
In Houston, Ken Mattingly, John Aaron, and a team of engineers are inventing a way to power up the command module on the little electricity they have left. TK Mattingly flies the command module simulator for hours, improvising a score of switch throws for Lovell's crew to play. But there could be no second take of this symphony. They'd have to get it right on the first read.
And our main game plan was to keep on the plan and not make any mistakes and to squeeze the consumables. Gene's team, Gene had been off console when he left at the time of the accident, and his whole focus had been on what are we going to do to power up the command module, how are we going to make it safe, how are we going to configure it for our best odds for entry.
Throughout the night and throughout the days just prior to this thing, the ground, of course, was working feverishly with crews in the simulators and with the engineers looking at the systems to read up to us a set of procedures which we would be able to follow to make a successful entry.
As they're waiting for this final checklist to come forward, it was sort of a race against time. We had to make sure it was perfect down on the ground, so we wanted to keep time you know, available to us to get this checklist right. They wanted to have some time to think this thing over. So it was really a question of making the call when it was time to go forward in this. And they were getting sort of, let's get that thing up here, guys. What are you doing down there?
If you have to remember that when we're back on the free return course, the flight was going to terminate abruptly when we started to hit the atmosphere, and if we weren't prepared for it, you know, there was no go-around second chance. So I was getting concerned that we wouldn't get the procedures up.
By the time we got to the point where we knew we had enough consumables to make it, and we had a procedure to get powered up, and assuming the command module was going to come up okay, which, again, we couldn't do anything about that. It was either going to work or it wasn't. There were no alternatives. If it didn't, we were done.
They did. They read us up procedures. Fred, Jack, and I practiced these procedures by reading them and then completed them. I think it's amazing the way that people can respond so fast to get this job done.
Odyssey is alive and online again. The crew prepares to jettison the service module. For the first time, they'll see the extent of the damage.
And there's one whole side of that big piston. Is that right? Right by the high gate antenna, the whole panel is blown out, almost from the base to the engine.
It was, to me, sort of an amazing sight. I didn't realize that this whole panel by the high gain antenna was blown clean off right along the area where the panel normally swings open.
The moment has come to cast off Aquarius. She was built for space, and to space she must be released.
Farewell, Aquarius. We thank you.
The voyage is almost over. Ironically, the very atmosphere which promises air and life also represents a barrier to cross. Basically, it comes down to this question. Has Odyssey's heat shield been damaged by the explosion? Will it withstand the plunge through the Earth's atmosphere? By this point in the space age, most people know that communications with capsules are impossible during the last fiery plunge, but it usually only takes 3 minutes.
So we sat there for a while, continuing our patient waiting.
Odyssey Houston, standing by, over.
The blackout period was extended, and for some reason that we don't know why today, instead of being in blackout for about 3 minutes, we were in this blacked out communications phase for about 4 minutes.
Odyssey Houston, we show you on the mains. It really looks great. An extremely loud applause here in Mission Control.
And then all of a sudden, Swigert comes in loud and clear and says, "Hello, Houston, this is Apollo 13, everything's fine."
The very technologies which allow Earth to talk to spacecraft now flash television pictures around the world as Apollo 13 splashes into the Pacific Ocean. For Lovell, Hayes, and Swigert, the Odyssey is over.
I think I can truthfully say that never before in the history of man have more people watched together, prayed together, and rejoiced together at your safe return than on this occasion.
Safely aboard the USS Iwo Jima, Apollo 13's Jim Lovell sends a message on behalf of his crew to the men and women who safely guided them home. It reads, "Words cannot express the praise we have for all the personnel of the Mission Control whose dedicated efforts provided a successful conclusion to Apollo 13. Our deepest and heartfelt thanks." Signed, Jim Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Hayes. Putting Apollo 13 in perspective when we come back with more Inside Space in just a minute. Don't go away.
This Sci-Fi Channel program is brought to you by Hardee's, Command Center for the Apollo 13 movie.
To celebrate Apollo 13, Hardee's salutes great American heroes like Mark Stevens, who picked up a bring-em-home family value meal at Hardee's, just $13. 10 pieces of fresh and juicy fried chicken, 5 biscuits, choice of 3 large side dishes, and 1 large serving of peach cobbler. Making him a hero to his family. Nowhere in this great land can you find a greater value, just $13.
Fresh from the kitchen at Hardee's.
Party's over.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, going back to school is a big deal.
Computers. I can't do computers.
You'll seem fine.
I am the oldest student here.
Not really.
For the ultimate in pH balance protection, use the one that'll keep you drier than any other kind out there. Secret Ultra Dry.
You are going to be a great student.
Yeah.
Your registration, ma'am?
Don't laugh.
Strong enough for a man, pH balanced for a woman.
Can you figure out the cost of a long-distance call?
Who knows? It's confusing.
Do I look like a mathematician?
Well,
I studied calculus, but I can't understand any of these long-distance deals.
Well, it's perfectly easy if you have Sprint Cents. 10 cents a minute every evening and all weekend long. It's as simple as that.
Repeat that, please. 1 thin dime.
10 cents a minute?
Dime a minute. No super duper discount fabulous promotion deals? If you want something complicated, see the other guys.
Call now for 10 cents a minute and get up to 100 minutes free.
So tender, so innocent, your gums, so vulnerable to the wicked germs hoping to ravage them. Insidiously, they can inflict gum disease. These germs are not fiction. They are in your mouth, threatening your gums. Stop them now with Listerine. Only germ-killing Listerine is clinically proven to help prevent the gum disease gingivitis. Listerine, the power of prevention. They're germs. They deserve to die.
Duckman billed as one of the Wall Street Journal's top 10 shows to watch.
This guy's taking over. He's everywhere.
That's our Duckman. Saturday night on USA.
Part man, part weapon, all bionic action. Steve Austin, the $6 Million Man on the Sci-Fi Channel. Tomorrow at 6, 3 Pacific.
This is you. This is the commercial you see. This is the number you call. This is the operator you talk to. This is the stuff that arrives. This is the number you call. This is the box that comes. This is the machine you get. This is the number you call. These are the exercises you do. This is the number you call. This is how long it takes. This is how many times a week you do it. This is the number you call. This is how your dog looks at you. This is how your pants fit. This is the number you call. This is how you'll feel when you're done. This is the number you call. The SoloFlex Muscle Machine. Call now for a free brochure and video. This is the number you call.
And we're back on Inside Space, looking at Apollo 13 from the Space Center here in Houston. Now, here's a movie that we all know the ending of. I mean, the guys come back safe and sound. And yet it's very exciting with all sorts of revelations and lots of plot twists. And yet it's a movie with no guns, no gore, no violence, and yet very compelling, which is what I asked director Ron Howard about.
Here you have this incredible action movie. No guns, no gore, no violence, and very limited sex.
And no villains. It's a great story. It's a great story, and it's not really about bad guys and conflict, and it's, you know, there's the greatest conflict. Are they going to make it? And more importantly, how in the world did they pull it off? They're trained to solve problems. And, you know, you listen to, you know, the tapes of any pilot who's going down, and you don't hear screaming and carrying on and panic very often. Usually you hear them working the problem, particularly the military pilots, the highly trained pilots, until the very last instant.
So if you guys were given the opportunity to do it for real, would you? I mean, has this ignited some fuel in you?
I would have done it anyway. If they said you got to put your career on hold, you got to give 2 years to the program, you got to go through all the training, you might not be able to get to fly, but we're going to try to make it work out, would you do it? I'd do it.
Better be careful what you say.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if you had a call.
For the service of my country, I'd do it.
We have a lot of heroes now that seem to have, you know, gone the wrong way, and I hate to have kids follow the actions of quote previous famous people who are now in deep trouble. Hopefully that the children of today, look carefully at the type of people they want to follow and to emulate and pick the right people. And, astronauts have in the past been a role model for children.
We did move forward as boldly and aggressively into the next arena, which was really to take and live in space. I think we sort of surrendered after the Skylab program. We got enamored of transportation. We need transportation, but we should have always had that outpost in space going. The managers at that time, myself included, let the people of the United States down by not being much more aggressive in articulating the use of space, the need for our country to continue the process of exploration, the need to challenge our youth. All of these things we just took for granted that someone is going to speak for us. We should have spoken for ourselves.
Even to this day, when you talk to the people at the Johnson Space Center, they talk about some of the lessons that were learned on Apollo 13. And one of them is that when you send people into space, it's just a very risky thing. But if you take people who are bright and who know their business and let them set their minds to any problem, they can do just about anything. So what should we do to go back into space? Should we send people again and take that risk, or should we use mechanized units to go there? We'd like to know how you feel. You can drop us a line. It's Inside Space, USA Network Sci-Fi Channel, 1230 Avenue of the Americas, New York, New York, 10020, or on the internet at inspace@usanetworks.com. I saw Apollo 13 last night. It was a great movie, and I cried. And my wife, sitting on my right, cried, and a producer sitting on my left cried. It's amazing how a movie where you know the ending can still evoke so much emotion. Well, I'm Jeff Fox from the Space Center in Houston, and I'll see you next time, Inside Space.
Hello, I'm Richard Hart. This week on CNET Central, take a trip to virtual Vegas and check out gambling on the internet and see how talent agencies are booking tomorrow's stars online. Coming up next on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Flight S4B cut off in 10 seconds.
13, this is Houston. Predicted cutoff is 12 plus 3-4, over.
Coming up on 12 minutes 34. And...
say go!
Shut down. And that, gentlemen, is how we do that.
You threaten mankind. I protect them. A Sci-Fi Channel planetary premiere. Guyver 2, Dark Hero. Saturday at 4, 1 Pacific.
Here's a bit of the best from Sci-Fi Buzz. A French company called Media Lab has introduced Braz, the first full-figure digital actor, representing a milestone in computer-generated imaging. This computer puppet promises to provide endless possibilities for video games, television shows, and feature films.
Exactly in the same way that some companies do live performance with real puppets, we do it with computer puppets.
Dodge changed the rules of truck power. The rules of safety, comfort, convenience. And while we were changing those rules, another one changed all by itself. New rule. Dodge pickups now have higher resale than Ford, Chevy, or GMC. Want proof? Check the rule book. The rules have changed. At America's Truck Stop, the new Dodge.
You've busted your back, you've nearly drowned yourself, and your car wash is still hit or miss. Next time, use a Shawala. A Shawala wash is the fastest, easiest, most thorough car wash there is. The giant washing surface cleans your entire car in no time, with the same type of material used in professional brushless car washes. So tough, it's virtually indestructible. And look, it would take all these ordinary sponges to equal the surface washing area of one Shawala. Nothing can hold more soap, have a man? Then you've gotta have a Shawala. No climbing, no straining. The extra long handle reaches even the highest vehicle, cleans wheels and tires in seconds. There's never been a better wash than a Shawala wash. It's only $19.95, so order yours now.
Call toll-free 1-800-652-4242. That's 1-800-652-4242. Or send $19.95 plus shipping to Shawala, P.O. Box 4951, Omaha, Nebraska. Call now.
Welcome to the Dominion.
The gateway to the world of science fiction on the internet. The Dominion. Catch it on the World Wide Web. The Sci-Fi Channel welcomes you to the edge. Their journey began in the 20th century.
He didn't tell you that we do time research here?
And took them back to 1871.
We're really here. I don't believe it.
Their goal, a 19th century cure for a modern day plague.
Please help us, Doctor. It's vital.
Before it's lost forever in the flames of history. Irwin Allen and Rod Serling join forces for Time Travelers on the Sci-Fi Channel. Today at 5.
I'm thinking about buying a space shuttle. You like this one here? You like the nose on that one? I think I'm going to opt for the convertible, though. Check it out. Prepare to engage all thrusters for a real blast as I take you on a personal guided tour of the Johnson Space Center in Houston. Then we'll probe behind the scenes of Apollo 13, Ron Howard's dazzling recreation of the near-disastrous moon mission. Get to know America's favorite space mom, June Lockhart. And we'll salute one of the fathers of spaceflight and science fiction, Jules Verne.
We're now in the upper regions of eternal night.
Let's blast off, buzzers. Mike Jarek in Houston at the Johnson Space Center. We're going to have so much fun tonight. I'm going to be down here hanging with Tom Hanks, Gary Sinise, Kathleen Quinlan, Kevin Bacon, and some of the other stars of the big Universal blockbuster Apollo 13. Good movie. I'm excited to be here, though, because I'm going to take our camera and go behind the scenes at NASA. I love this place. I've always wanted to come here. Ever since, as a kid, I watched Alan Shepard climb into that skinny little rocket down there. He got into that capsule, and we blasted him into space, our first U.S. astronaut. Oh, man, I would not have gone along with him. I have claustrophobia. Now, about the movie, I saw it last night. Sci-fi fans, you're going to love this. It's big, it is loud, very loud, filled with special effects, and very compelling because Apollo 13 is a true story.
Apollo 13 flight controllers, give me a go, no-go for launch.
It was 1970. The mission, Apollo 13. Man had walked on the moon less than a year before. This trip was to be routine.
Houston, we have a problem.
Only there was a problem. 205,000 miles from Earth.
And action!
In Apollo 13, director Ron Howard recreates one of the world's most terrifying incidents in aerospace history. After an oxygen tank exploded, the 3 astronauts faced the possibility of suffocating or freezing to death. Dramatizing this monumental event was a monumental challenge, beginning with the recreation of the launch. Instead of relying on Apollo 13 stock footage, Ron Howard fashioned the liftoff from scratch. How was it done?
A lot of it's models and some mat work and a lot of computer-generated imagery also. But literally, you know, sort of every trick in the book to try to get that launch to be as real and as compelling and powerful as possible.
And to add to the realism, mission control was painstakingly reproduced on the studio lot. The set was within 6 inches of the dimensions of mission control in Houston. Actors Tom Hanks, Kevin Bacon, and Bill Paxton were also concerned with realism, which meant wearing airtight suits, which were exact reproductions of those worn by the Apollo 13 crew. And they boarded NASA's KC-135, an airplane that simulates weightlessness in outer space. What is that moment like when you first felt it?
Absolutely incredible. We were talking about it before. If I could have captured the look on these guys' face, I mean, of just sheer joy and exhilaration, and we all felt very childlike.
Yeah, he looked like he was 12 years old.
But the actors found that trying to walk in space was no walk in the park.
When you had the actors in the plane doing the weightless stuff,
yeah,
which actor barfed first?
Gary Sinise was the only actor who barfed. And ironically, he didn't even have to go up there because he didn't have any weightless scenes, but he wanted to. He wanted to experience it just as part of his own training, and it's a cool opportunity.
So, Gary, you were the only one who got sick, is that right?
Was that in a press release or something? You know what? Where'd you hear that? They put that in the press release?
Gary threw up.
Yeah, okay. I went on the zero-G plane and got a little sick.
It wasn't just the actors playing the astronauts who immersed themselves in their roles. Kathleen Quinlan, who plays Jim Lovell's wife, Marilyn, spent some quality time with her real-life counterpart.
When you asked Marilyn about that, that 3 minutes when they're coming back through the atmosphere, what did she say to you? Did she describe that moment when she was sitting at home?
She didn't describe it a lot verbally, but I got it all in her face. Because she just, even remembering it now, she'd just start to go.
He'll be home on Friday.
After going through all of this, if you had the chance, would you go up in space?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes,
I would.
Yes. Maybe.
Why maybe?
Well, I don't know. I would love the experience of being up there. I don't know if I could, face the trials of thinking about what could go wrong. But, I don't know. We'll see.
The reason is because Kevin's a wuss.
Because I'm a wuss.
And me and Bill are really He-Men.
Jules Verne, the novelist who helped pioneer spaceflight, and modern writer Alan Dean Foster and his outer space escapades. Next.
Sci-Fi Buzz is brought to you by Dodge. The more things change, the more things look like the new Dodge.
No matter where you're going, don't you really spend all your time in one place? That's why the Dodge Stratus seating engineers used pressure mapping to help eliminate things that might push and poke and cause fatigue, which makes Stratus the place you'll want to end up, no matter where you're going. New Dodge Stratus. It's full of answers. Get 1.9% financing, or lease Dodge Stratus for $199 a month.
Mi amor, pareces diferente esta noche.
Que no terminé de tipear el informe mensual de marketing. Es un plomo y me están presionando.
No te lo puedo creer. ¿Todavía no has oído hablar del nuevo software de reconocimiento de voz de IBM? Toma dictado. Vos simplemente le hablas y te lo escribe automáticamente.
Estoy anonadada.
Y algo más. El software IBM para reconocimiento de voz también comprende 6 idiomas.
¡Qué bárbaro!
You are watching Sci-Fi Buzz on the Sci-Fi Channel.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Action!
Houston, we have a problem.
We never lost an American in space. We're sure as hell not going to lose one on my watch.
The Making of Apollo 13, hosted by Sally Ride, today at 11 a.m. Eastern.
It's all here, on air, online. CNET Central, an interactive showcase for computing and digital technology. Tune in and log on with Richard Hart for the latest in home computing.
We'll get into the details of how to get full access later.
New ideas, new technology. CNET Central, tonight at 10:30, 7:30 Pacific.
Daylight brings grim evidence of his power.
Doesn't even bother to hide the bodies anymore.
Blood is his life.
Vampire?
And your life is his to take.
Why are you hiding out here?
Don't try to resist him.
I'm worried about you.
No one can escape. The Vampire at Midnight. Saturday at 8 p.m.
You know, here at the Johnson Space Center, it is so big the employees tool around on these bicycles. Kind of fun, huh? Only thing is, you know, they can send a man to the moon. Why can't they get a hat that fits? By the way, don't tell Harvey that I have his lab coat on, okay? Look at these big chunks behind me here. These are modules. They send each one of these modules up into space separately. They haven't done any yet. They say by the year 2001, they'll have all these pieces into space, hooked together for the International Space Station. That's what NASA says. A lot of other people say none of these chunks will ever go up because of money, red tape, etc. Of course, NASA did not invent aeronautics. You know, space travel, the fascination with it, has been in our popular culture for over 100 years. Ever hear of Jules Verne?
A projectile carrying within its warhead a sufficient reserve of power X.
How is it a French novelist came to lay the foundation for the study of rocket science? Well, if the novelist in question is Jules Verne, it all starts to make sense. His 1865 classic space novel, From the Earth to the Moon, has had more influence on the history of spaceflight than any other work of fiction. Using hard science fiction, Verne painstakingly created a blueprint for a voyage to the moon. While he made a few mistakes, most of his projections have been borne out by modern science. Many scholars agree that rocketry would not have advanced as quickly as it did without Verne's bold vision. Flash forward to this 1958 film version of Verne's masterpiece, however, and you'll see how Hollywood completely missed the mark when it came to bringing the author's groundbreaking work to the screen. Starring Joseph Cotton as a munitions manufacturer who launches a rocket to the moon, this movie has been described as perhaps the dullest science fiction movie ever made.
There's no sea monster big enough to ever frighten me.
From the Earth to the Moon made it to celluloid thanks to the success of another Jules Verne adaptation 4 years earlier. The immensely popular Disney version of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea demonstrated that Verne was an author whose novels could translate to the screen.
Unfortunately, there are limits beyond which man and his puny efforts cannot survive. We exceeded them by 5,000 feet.
James Mason stars as the war-hating Captain Nemo, who roams the sea sinking battleships. He also goes head-to-head with a giant squid. The film won an Oscar for its breathtaking special effects and is generally considered to be the best film adaptation of a Verne novel. 9 different films have been based on Verne's sequel to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. But our favorite is this 1961 version of Mysterious Island. Captain Nemo comes to the aid of escapees from a Confederate prison camp when their hot air balloon lands on a remote island. This film is more loyal to the novel than most, but when it deviates from Verne, it deviates in style. Note these 2 beauties not included in the book. Other extras include Bernard Herrmann's lush score and some stunning animated creatures courtesy of Ray Harryhausen. Also produced in 1961 was Master of the World. This film was based upon 2 of Verne's later works, Robur the Conqueror, and its sequel, Master of the World. Vincent Price stars as a combative pacifist, like Captain Nemo, making war on weapons of destruction. Instead of Nemo's souped-up submarine, the Nautilus, Price's character gets around in the Albatross, an extraordinary flying machine.
This is Robur speaking. You have exactly 20 minutes to evacuate your ship.
By the time he wrote Master of the World, Verne's outlook on man's ability to marshal the forces of science and nature had become quite grim. Ultimately, Robur becomes an excessive madman. This movie version, however, is generally regarded as a rehash of Disney's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. The only aspect of the film that comes close to Verne's novel is the Albatross itself. Whether it be art direction, special effects, or campy humor, these films all have their high points. But if you're searching for insights into the man who pioneered rocket science before it even was a science, you'll have to turn off the VCR and cuddle up with a couple of Jules Verne novels.
C.O. Williams calling from Everett, Washington. And my recommendation is a book called The Dream Machines, an illustrated history of the spaceship in art, science, and literature. It's by astronomical artist Ron Miller, and it's formidable looking and one of the best histories of its kind that I've ever seen.
Most people don't buy science fiction to be educated or to be preached to or to learn things. They buy science fiction to be entertained.
Writer Alan Dean Foster has mastered the art of entertaining readers. His vast cache of work includes everything from science fiction to fantasy to contemporary horror and beyond. But he's garnered the most praise for his stellar stories of human and alien escapades in outer space. The Thranks, insectoid aliens who've been featured in his Pip and Flink's adventures since 1972, are a personal favorite of Foster's.
The Thranks are a lot of the things that we would like to be but aren't. They're sensitive, they're very logical and rational all the time, and of course they're completely alien.
Foster, who has a Master of Fine Arts in Film from UCLA, initially set out to make science fiction films, but a tendency to speak his mind and a strong aversion to party-going made him something of a rebel in Tinseltown. So he shifted gears from writing screenplays to writing literature. But that's not to say he left behind his fondness for films.
I can make films for myself. I have a little screen right here, and the way I write is I turn on the little screen and I describe what I'm seeing. And so all of my books I have seen first as movies, or I see them as movies when I'm writing them. And if I get an idea for film I want to see, I have to go ahead and write the book.
Many writers choose to research topics in the confines of their home or local library. But Foster's adventurous nature has taken him to the far corners of the world. Yet, despite his eagerness to explore exotic locales, he's resigned to the fact that there are some spots he may never get to.
One of the best ways to travel is to become a writer and write about places you'd like to visit. And most of the places that I have written about in my career are places I'd like to go that I'll never be able to go to because the cars are just too slow so far.
That's not to say Foster's earthly travels haven't found their way into his extraterrestrial tales.
The sort of experiences that you can't get from reading National Geographic or Smithsonian, like being in a cage with white sharks trying to eat you, or being in the Peruvian Amazon and hearing about things like petroglyphs that haven't been written up very much in scientific journals, just starts the creative juices flowing.
Foster's juices are gushing these days. He recently expanded Eric Frank Russell's short story, Designed for Great Day, into a novel. His original sci-fi novel, Lifeform, comes out in July. Montezuma's Strip, a collection of stories set 100 years from now on the U.S.-Mexican border, will be released in August. Mid-Flinks, the next in the Pip and Flink series, will be in bookstores this November. And no matter what comes out of Foster's multifaceted mind, certain high standards are guaranteed.
There will be a good story. There will always be a story. There will be no stream of consciousness. There will be no long philosophical tracts. You will always get a story. Even in the serious books, there will be some humor. So I try to strike a balance between entertaining and every once in a while in the book actually saying something. And if I achieve that, then I've achieved my goal.
June Lockhart, Space Mom, Hip Rocker, and things you won't believe after this moment of rapture.
Has the life drained out of your living room? Then why not have a Butterfinger Blast? One bite of that crispity.
Crispity!
Crunchity.
Crunchity!
Peanut buttery taste explosion will shatter your senses.
Well, that's it for bingo.
Try one and you'll insist. Nobody better lay a finger on my Butterfinger from Nestle.
We gave it a tighter suspension, quicker steering, 150 peak horsepower, dual overhead cam engine, and more. Because as well-dressed as Dodge Neon was to begin with, certain kinds of fun require a sport coat. Say hello to the other Dodge Neon, the Sport Coupe. Get 1.9% financing or lease Dodge Neon for $179 a month.
You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.
I cannot live another day without air conditioning.
Says tomorrow's gonna be hotter.
Hotter?
Like yesterday.
Yesterday? Yesterday you said you'd call Sears.
I'll call today.
You call now.
I'll call now.
Now's the time to save on Sears installed central air conditioning. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, and no payments until September with the Sears Charge Home Improvement Plan. Call now for a free in-home estimate on a Kenmore air conditioning system. State-of-the-art engineering means greater energy efficiency. A new Kenmore could save 10 to 44% on your annual cooling costs. In time, even pay for itself. Sears also offers fast emergency installation, a 5-year warranty on parts and labor, plus our satisfaction guarantee. And you know Sears will be there to back it up. Get 0% finance charge, no billing, no payments until September. Offer ends June 30th, so call now and save with Sears.
So what's the paper say about tomorrow?
Another scorcher.
Cool.
Hey, look, Ma, I'm in a node down here. I'm crawling through into the United States laboratory, part of the International Space Station. Of course, I wouldn't be walking if it was actually up in space. I'd be kind of floating. I'd be weightless. So I'd have to use these bars here, kind of like a monkey, swing through the old lab here like this. They even have things for your feet, so you can lock your feet in here so you won't, rise up because you're weightless. So you can work on the computer, whatever you need to do. Pretty cool, huh? And speaking of space and being lost in space, remember that TV series? Well, back when June Lockhart was doing that series, she inspired a lot of people through the show to get involved in the space program. Oh yes, long before we had Sally Ride, we had a mom in space, June Lockhart.
Motherhood's been a good dodge for me, though, but doing Lassie was, of course, the first big role that I had as a mother. But I had a whole career before that in New York during the golden age of television, and also had made a debut on Broadway as an ingenue.
June Lockhart equals mother is so ingrained in the minds of baby boomers that the actress takes great delight in revealing her other side.
Once on Gunsmoke, I played an alcoholic nymphomaniac murderess.
June, many people don't realize what a true rock and roll goddess she is. She introduced me to a lot of great bands when we were doing the show. She had the Allman Brothers, who had a band called the Hourglass at that time. Play parties at her house, and they came down to the set. She took me and Angela to the Whiskey A Go-Go to see the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band. She's a great lady. I see her at rock concerts all the time.
Mother, come quickly!
More on the side of June Lockhart that isn't Maureen Robinson in a moment. What about the side that is?
Well, I always wanted to be Dale to Flash Gordon. And I can remember as a child, 6 and 7 and 8 years old, rushing to get the Sunday morning paper so I could read Flash Gordon and see what Dale was doing. So that we were about 3 months into the series, and I suddenly thought, my God, I fulfilled my fantasy. I am out here in space. I am getting to be Dale to John Robinson's Flash Gordon.
The first season of Lost in Space did resemble Flash Gordon enough to give June a thrill. But by the third season, the earnest melodrama had given way to full-fledged camp.
I should say that there was one episode called The Vegetable Rebellion, and Guy and I were literally written out of the next 2 episodes because we giggled all through the shooting of it.
Well, whatever it is that carrot may have in store for us, we're getting out of here now.
Well, everybody turned into vegetables. As soon as they sat down, they took root. But Jonathan was a celery stalk, and Stanley Adams was a carrot in it. So, I mean...
As silly as the series seemed at the time, June is able to look back with pride at the impression it left on young people.
I had this wonderful tour of NASA, and I got to climb in and out of the shuttle where they train and go to the pool and see how that's all done and the weightlessness and everything. But I was astonished to meet so many flight directors, astronauts, engineers, physicists, people around in the space program who all said to me it was Lost in Space that made me know as a child that I wanted to be in the astronaut program.
Now, what about this David Bowie photo in the bedroom?
It's a big picture. David Bowie, that's right.
Can you picture Maureen Robinson having a crush on David Bowie?
And I've never met him. I don't know how I will handle it if I ever get to meet David Bowie.
I think June Lockhart would do just fine. It'd be David Bowie I'd worry about. Remember, David, this lady is not what she seems to be. Right, Dr. Smith?
Poor child. If only you knew. If only you knew.
Inside the space shuttle now, Buzzers. Kind of frightening, huh? Mike at the controls. You know, when they dock the shuttle with the Russian Mir space station, the pilot will actually be standing like I am right here at the controls, looking out the little window back through the cargo bay of the shuttle. And so they're actually going to be backing up into the Mir space station. Watch out. I wonder what this button does. Whoa! Oops. Oh, we better get out of here. If you don't have a chance to visit NASA or actually fly the shuttle like good old Mike here, you might find this just as interesting. It's the Sci-Fi Buzz Best Bets. Take a look. Oh, actually, there are 65 commercials first, but hang with me.
AT&T, this is Richie.
Richard, this long-distance business is maddening. MCI and Sprint keep calling. Everybody's pulling at me. Every week there's a new, confusing plan. I just want something simple.
AT&T True Savings.
It's simple.
Sign up, make $10 in calls a month, and we'll subtract 25% off your AT&T bill.
25% off to whom?
Anybody in the U.S.
Smashing.
It's AT&T's simplest way to save 25%.
Oh, I'd like that.
AT&T True Savings. Save 25% to anybody. That's your true choice. AT&T.
I want to lose weight, but who do I listen to?
Chemicals. Liposuction.
No, do it naturally.
Don't eat.
You need nourishment.
A quick fix.
A lifestyle plan.
Punishment.
Metrum. Metrum?
Metrum is the all-natural weight loss program designed to work all day and all night.
Just wire your jaw shut.
I'm going to lose weight the right way with Metrum.
Metrum is available at these fine stores or call 1-800-METRUM-1.
Make contact. Enter the Sci-Fi Channel universe on the World Wide Web. Connect with all things science fiction throughout the internet. The Dominion at sci-fi.com.
You are watching Sci-Fi Buzz on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Dodge changed the rules of truck power, the rules of safety, comfort, convenience. And while we were changing those rules, another one changed all by itself. New rule. Dodge pickups now have higher resale than Ford, Chevy, or GMC. Want proof? Check the rule book. The rules have changed. At America's Truck Stop, the new Dodge.
Some days I get these really pounding headaches. I used to take Tylenol, but it didn't always get rid of all the pain. So I've been using Advil for a while now. I found that on my tough headaches, 2 Advil work better than 2 extra-strength Tylenol tablets, better than extra-strength Tylenol caplets, better than Tylenol gel caps. And you know, nothing's been proven to last longer than Advil. For my tough headaches, Advil just works better. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
Sit back and relax as we fly you to the moon on this week's Buzz Best Bets. Now that the Apollo 13 story has hit the big screen, Odyssey Interactive is capitalizing on the public's renewed interest in the harrowing mission.
And when I looked up and saw both oxygen pressures, one absolutely zero and the other one going down, it dawned on me, and I'm sure Jack and Fred about the same time, that we were indeed in serious trouble.
Their CD-ROM, Apollo 13, will hit stores next month. The disc utilizes authentic footage from the 1970 mission to recapture 4 of the most sweat-filled days NASA and the world has ever known. And for those who want to go straight to the source of inspiration for the new film, there's Lost Moon. The book is astronaut Jim Lovell's first-person account of the mission, which came to be called The Successful Failure. If Apollo 13 is a hit, the film will undoubtedly spark renewed interest in the space program. So simply gravitate to your local bookstore and explore the wealth of lunar-oriented literature on hand. Skylab 4 astronaut Ed Gibson has edited a large, colorful collection called The Greatest Adventure, stories and photographs by men and women who have flown in space. With a foreword by noted author James Michener, the book provides a riveting array of visual and verbal memories by the astronauts who lived the experience. Then there's journalist Andrew Chaikin's incisive offering, A Man on the Moon. An ardent fan of space exploration, Chaikin skillfully details each and every voyage of the Apollo astronauts.
We choose to go to the moon.
Chaikin also wrote the text for Al Reinert's remarkable CD-ROM, For All Mankind, based on his 1989 documentary. The disc, an 80-minute history of the Apollo moon missions, was released by the Voyager Company last year in conjunction with the 25th anniversary of the first lunar landing. Those are this week's Buzz Best Bets. Houston, we have a problem. And all of America, the problem is we're out of time for the Buzz. See you next week, though. We have a preview of Species, that brand new movie, and we'll go to the very first X-Files convention. A quick thank you to NASA and to Universal Pictures for showing us such a great time down here in Houston. Come down and visit sometime. I'll see you next week for the Buzz.
The mysteries of aliens, the magic of Houdini, the miracles of angels. Now the real stories, people, and events are explained in a thrilling new series, Mysteries, Magic, and Miracles, hosted by Patrick McNee. Coming up next. You are watching the Sci-Fi Channel.